manufacturers have long used components made by other companies, their suppliers. But globalisation now means manufacturers get more and more of their components outsourced. In other words, they drive costs down by picking and choosing from suppliers all over the world. The company which has its name on a product does less and less of the actual manufacturing. They just put it together. A powerful example of globalised manufacturing is the car industry. This is the Dodge Ram pickup truck, an American favourite, made by US company Chrysler. But its components come from, well, everywhere. This film will follow the amazing chain which makes just one of them. A supply chain is a sequence of companies that transform goods one step at a time, and these days supply chains stretch right across the world. This is Teresa on her way to where she works, a company called Modine Radiator, Clinton, Tennessee. Here they make the radiators for the Dodge Ram. We're going to look at the supply chain for just one component of the radiator, the cap. This is Boniface, on the way to where he works. Sundram Fasteners in Chennai, India. Here they make radiator caps which they package for shipment to all over the world, including to Modine in Tennessee, where Teresa assembles them to the radiator. But Teresa and Boniface are just two of many links in the global supply chain. Sundram is what's called a second-tier supplier. They're one link in the chain away from Modine, the first-tier supplier, to Chrysler, who actually make the pickup truck. But there are more tiers going further back. This is Berck Limited in the West Midlands in Britain. Berck is a third-tier supplier. They supply parts for the radiator cap to Sundram, the second-tier supplier.
Sundram have been a customer of ours for about 15 years. We make the springs and parts and washers that go to form the radiator cap.
Brian is the CEO of Berck Limited. He came to the company as general manager in 1976 and bought the company in 1998.
I think we fit about 40% of the world cars on certain types of switches and blades. We supply the majority of the car industries in Europe, several in the United States, but not as a first-tier supplier.
Here, the Berck technician installs the press tool and monitors the quality of a new batch of steel valves bound for Sundram. But this particular supply chain goes further back than Berck Limited. It starts with ThyssenKrupp in Germany, who supply Berck with the rolled steel to make the parts. ThyssenKrupp is therefore a fourth-tier supplier. At the other end of the chain is what's called the OEM, the original equipment manufacturer. In this case, Chrysler, the company that assembles the final product and puts its name on it. The chain that makes the radiator cap is just one of many chains that operate to create the final product. A couple of hours' drive from Berck, in Corsham, is Precision Cut Rubber, or PCR. PCR manufactures rubber washers and seals.
Right, what we've got here is a dispatch area, so if we go through now to the die cutting hall.
This is Stuart. He manages PCR's factory. Like Berck, PCR depends on the car industry for a large share of its business. And like Berck, they're a link in the global car supply chain. They too supply Sundram in India, but they're not always third-tier suppliers. They have different positions in different chains.
We supply directly to Ford, directly to Jaguar and Land Rover, Visteon right through the States, South America, India, the Philippines, and then through most of the major tier companies, right down to small sub-suppliers, second, third tier, into the major OEM. So truly, we dispatch on a global basis. Something like 50% of our turnover is actually exported.